TJ Dillashaw said that he is the better wrestler than Aljamain Sterling. And the exact quote was, "I'm actually the better wrestler." He said that on the DC and RC show. Just trying to, shed some light on that show. But that made me wonder, why is TJ Dillashaw saying that? Because it's clear that Aljamain Sterling is the better wrestler until I looked into the stats, and boy, I was very surprised. And TJ Dillashaw might have said that because of the fact that Aljamain Sterling is a NCAA Division III wrestler, while TJ Dillashaw, on the other hand, is a Division I wrestler. But I looked into the stats, and I remember that TJ Dillashaw had an 86% takedown defense. I remember that, so I went, okay, so that's what he could be talking about. And yeah, right there, Division 3 All-American. And when I remembered that TJ Dillashaw had a 86% takedown defense, I thought to myself, well, that could be what he's talking about. But that doesn't mean anything, right? Because it's very different from being a better wrestler defensively and being a better wrestler offensively. Okay? So then I looked into the stats and I was surprised because TJ Dillashaw actually has a 31% takedown accuracy, while Aljamain Sterling, on the other hand, has only 22. 22. And if you're wondering, Aljamain Sterling has 41 takedown defense, meaning TJ Dillashaw has way more, double that amount. Okay? And you might be wondering, well, that doesn't really mean anything because TJ Dillashaw might have shot 20 takedowns and only got 31% of those takedowns. And the funny thing is that, I mean, not really funny, but the surprising thing is that these two guys have landed the same amount of takedowns. TJ Dillashaw has a takedown accuracy of 36. Aljamain has 22. The similarities are they both landed 21 takedowns. But Aljamain has shot 111. TJ Dillashaw has only shot 75. Now, I'm not here to talk about who's the better wrestler is. Although it is very interesting to know that TJ Dillashaw believes in his head that he's the better wrestler. And it's also fascinating how he could be right. But I'm not here to talk about that. I gave you that news so I can hook you, so I can hit you with this. Does TJ believe he can win? Because there's a belief in this sport that you cannot stay on top. You cannot stay on top forever. You're eventually gonna be pushed over to the edge of the mountain and fall, or you leave on your own. That's why it's very tough for people to retire because they still want to be on top. But if you don't retire, if you don't leave the mountain, somebody's gonna push you off, somebody's gonna dethrone you. And I don't understand this whole thing going that TJ Dillashaw, or I'm not TJ Dillashaw, that there's no hype for this fight. Like, some of you believe that you know what's gonna happen already. that TJ Dillashaw is gonna lose because of this belief that we have in our sport, which is that you don't stay on top forever. Well, if, and I know you guys know about this, but you choose to ignore, TJ Dillashaw, he he was pushed off the cliff, but that was in a different, I mean, a cliff mountain. That was in a different mountain. He went down flyweight. He got never dethroned in the bantamweight division. You guys know this, but you choose to ignore this. He was never pushed off his mountain. He tried to climb another mountain, but then he failed. He failed, and then he got KO'd in the very first round. And the surprising thing is that nobody is talking about this fight. I'm wondering why. Because if you're saying that you know what's gonna happen, it's why you're not. I know you guys will watch it, but it's why you guys are not talking about it. It's why you guys don't. I mean, not necessarily care, but that the air in the room is being sucked off by Peter Yan versus Sean O'Malley or Oliveira in Islam, or both of them. Because if you put 10 stars in a single room, you can't give 10 stars all the attention. You're gonna suck the air out of the room, right? And that's what's happening right now. Nobody's talking about this fight. Before you tell me that you know what's gonna happen, and that's why you're not watching this fight. I mean, not, but because you're not interested, or you don't, you know, you don't talk about it. You don't really care. That's why you're not interested, because you know what's gonna happen. Before you tell me that, TJ Dillashaw's never been submitted. Before you think that Aljamain is, however bad his, you know, takedown accuracy is, if he shoots 100 takedowns, as long as he can get one, he can find TJ Dillashaw's back and he can tap him out. Because TJ Dillashaw doesn't have the submission defense of somebody like Peter Yan. And TJ Dillashaw's never been submitted. And it is very exhausting shooting 100 takedowns. When I shoot a takedown, I'm expecting you to fall with me. It is very exhausting when you shoot a takedown, you drive it all the way, and you don't get it. And you hit a roadblock called the cage or the fence, and then you try to pull down your opponent. You're trying to pull them off the cage. You're trying to pull and drag somebody off the cage. That's very tiring if you don't get it. Now, of course, Aljamain is not going to shoot 100 takedowns. You know, he can shoot 20 or 30. But as long as he can land one, he's going to submit TJ Dillashaw. TJ Dillashaw has never been submitted. Not just he's never been submitted, you've never seen him get taken down and get controlled and then get choked out. You have not seen that happen to TJ Dillashaw. Now, of course, TJ Dillashaw could defend some of those takedowns, but still, he could take him down, and I don't know, he doesn't need to find the back. He can just tap TJ Dillashaw out. But then I'm coming back to TJ Dillashaw's never been submitted. Of course, there's always a first. Okay, there's always a first for everything. But before you think that TJ Dillashaw will be submitted, TJ Dillashaw has a takedown defense of 86%. Yeah, he could get taken down, but he could just get back up. Right? But what if he doesn't get back up? Well, he's never been submitted. Now, I'm not saying that TJ Dillashaw is not going to get submitted. In fact, that probably is the best way that I see Aljamain winning, or at least the path that he would like to go, because it's the path of least resistance. You don't want to go into a 5-round battle against, TJ Dillashaw, striking exchanges, shooting takedowns, not getting it. Of course, Aljamain will look for that takedown, will look to go to the back, will look for that submission. I'm not saying that he's not gonna get it. All I'm saying is that when you take a look at this fight, don't think that you know what's gonna happen. So let's just say, TJ Dillashaw does manage to get up, or just manage to defend all takedowns. Well, then the fight would go the distance. Would you not want to see that? Wouldn't we want to see Aljamain Sterling go up against one of the most talented strikers in the division? Because when you have TJ Dillashaw, who's that good in the striking department, of course you'd want to see him go up against a wrestler that's as good as Aljamain Sterling. And eventually, if Aljamain doesn't, eventually Aljamain might not get the takedown. Eventually, he's gonna have to strike with him. If he doesn't get the takedown, I'm not saying that eventually he won't get the takedown, but eventually TJ Dillashaw, when he gets taken down in, let's just say, the first, second round, and then he gets controlled, but then he survives the submission, or doesn't get submitted, the next round, he's gonna be a lot more aware of the takedown. Eventually, that is what's gonna happen. He's gonna be a lot more cautious of being taken down. But let's just say TJ Dillashaw, or Aljamain, doesn't get a takedown. Eventually, he's gonna have to start to use his hands. And Aljamain does have a very interesting style of striking. And the consensus will be that Aljamain uses his striking to get the takedowns. But what if those takedowns were defended? Right? We know Aljamain has this style of striking, right? To use that striking to get the takedowns. Well, what if he doesn't get the takedowns? Wouldn't we want to see that? I don't understand why this fight is lacking hype. TJ Dillashaw's been uploading, not TJ Dillashaw, Aljamain Sterling has been uploading videos almost weekly, vlogs and all those things. He met Peter in Abu Dhabi that got some eyeballs. Like, I don't understand why nobody's talking about this fight, or nobody's interested in this fight. Don't think that you know what's gonna happen. Clearly, we don't know what's gonna happen. And highly unlikely that Aljamain Sterling will not KO TJ Dillashaw. That can happen. I don't want to take that away from him. But probably not. And even if Aljamain does manage to get a takedown, okay, he's gonna have to do it again in the second round, knowing that Aljamain, not the second round, the next round, knowing that TJ Dillashaw is now more cautious of the takedown than in the previous round. Because now you took him down, now he's gonna be a lot more cautious in the next round. He's gonna have to submit TJ Dillashaw. So I don't know what's really gonna happen in this fight, and I don't believe that you guys also know what's gonna happen. I think you guys believe that you know what's gonna happen. You believe that you know what's gonna happen, but if you really look into it, it's hard to say. Of course, it's not fight week. It's not fight week already, right? It's not yet fight week. And in fight week, that's when, That's when the analysts come out. That's when the analysts, the journalists come out with all these things, all these headlines that, that Aljamain won't shoot a takedown. That's when we're gonna know what's really gonna happen. But we're talking this much about UFC 280 main event and the fight below the co-main event, and we're totally forgetting about the co-main event. Why? Why are we forgetting about the main event? Co-main event. Do not tell me that you know what's gonna happen, because we clearly don't know what's gonna happen here. Can we at least talk about this fight? Can we at least talk about the X's and O's and what could happen and might happen if this and that? Because I'm sure you guys will be surprised if you think you know what's gonna happen and it doesn't play out like that. You guys will definitely be surprised. So let's start talking about this fight. Let's start to talk about X's and O's and what could happen. And let's talk more about what these guys are talking about, because they've done their fair share of hyping up the fight. And I think the air's being sucked out of the room because of Sean O'Malley versus Peter Yan and Charles versus Islam. But let's not forget about the co-main event, because I'm telling you, this one will be really, really good. Because I've never seen a guy go up, go down, go up again, and then do it again. You've never seen a guy have 3 rise. Okay? Most guys, they have a rise and fall. Rarely do you see a guy get to have a rise fall. But even rarer, if you're gonna see somebody get a rise fall rise, I don't know, he might retire, right? And this fight is gonna be really, really good. Do not be surprised if you're not if you don't get what you're expecting. Okay? And don't you think for a minute that you know what's gonna happen here, because I guarantee you, you do not know what's gonna happen. I am as excited to see this fight than to see Islam or Charles or Sean versus Peter. And I think you guys should too.